What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sly Geordie, and welcome back to F1 24 Career Mode for our first episode in Season 2. And if you missed last episode, it was the pre-season episode where we pretty much, discovered the new calendar for this season, new driver moves, and of course, our R&D scenario for this season, which is aerodynamics only. So it's definitely an area where we aren't the greatest. And I mean, look at that vehicle performance comparison. Ferrari, they've not got a good car for this season. V-Carb have actually really improved. And speaking of V-Carb, their driver lineup has changed as well. But the important thing is that Lewis Hamilton is now a member of Ferrari. I don't know if this was a patch by Cody's to make sure this happens in Season 2 at some point. I don't know. But Mercedes and Ferrari, they did a swap. Carlos Sainz, I mean, that just looks so weird. But yeah, Carlos Sainz is now a Mercedes driver. As well as this, we also have Logan Sargeant being welcomed in by the Red Bull fold. They've given him a second chance here. Definitely something I didn't really expect, especially since he is the same rating as people such as Vesti, Porsche, Behrman. You know, I would have thought one of those guys, especially Porsche being the 2023 Formula 2 champion, but you know, whatever. Logan Sargeant is back on the grid, and Daniel Ricciardo has been cast aside. You know, he might be an 82 overall, but he had a woeful season last season, so I am not surprised at all that he is no longer on the grid. But yes, our calendar for this season is as follows. We've got a 16 race season, you know, the 24 race season, live streamed or not. It's just grueling. I don't like to do it. I didn't like doing the 23 race season for season 1 and 5 in F1 23. So I think doing a full race season is probably not going to be around on the channel very often anymore. But yeah, 16 races. It's the Australian Grand Prix, the Japanese Grand Prix, then the Chinese Grand Prix. Then we move to Canada, Great Britain, Hungary, Belgium, Zandvoort, which is in the Netherlands, Monza in Italy, Singapore, Texas, Mexico, Brazil, Portugal, Qatar, and wrapping things up with Abu Dhabi. Now, this season is going to be sort of a make or break season for me in terms of the game. My enjoyment of the game has been pretty much two completely different extremes. Of course, the start of F1 24 was woeful, but by the time we got up to Belgium, it was literally at Belgium where the game started consistently getting really good. So yeah, there is a chance that we will do more than 3 seasons of F1 24. We'll just have to see how I'm feeling. And Season 2 is going to be the most important season of the series, because that will dictate whether we end the series in Season 3 or whether or not we continue to play the game. But yeah, it's definitely going to be very weird, especially with the new R&D modifiers. Of course, we can remove the scenario at any point in the season, but I want to give it a proper chance. And you know, if our car isn't good enough to challenge for the championship, just like I originally wanted it to be, then you know, we might be looking to change teams, maybe take advantage of that new secret meeting, thing. But yeah, finally got my Fernando Alonso thingy rewards, so yeah, you can claim them now if you did that scenario, if you did that event in F1 World. It's a pretty nice helmet, and I think definitely one we'll use in future, because I actually really like it, looking at it from the front now. That's great. But yeah, this is our helmet for this season, using the Retro Sport helmet, which was earned from level 1 of the Podium Pass. the premium podium pass if you pre-ordered F1 24 Champions Edition. But yeah, that's pretty much all we've got to say. We got some goals available, of course, and we know how these are. I mean, this guy we don't even need to do anymore, as we actually have all his perks already. But we'll do them anyway. We'll do that one. This one, and then that one. Okay, those are our specialists. Boom. Without further ado, it's actually now time to start collecting these weekly resources, which are...
Pleased to say that our new parts have come through without any issue. So
what new parts?
Ready for the next race weekend.
All right. Well, I don't know what new parts they mean by that, but we have 414 points to work with. Let's see if we can actually get anything out of it. So, yeah. Aerodynamics is the only thing that's actually going to be touched. Chassis, nothing. Powertrain, literally only the supplier upgrades, funnily enough. So that comes down to just how good Mercedes are. And look at that, 22nd of June is a humongous upgrade for the powertrain. So I'm glad we still get upgrades in other areas. That's really cool. Durability not having any upgrades is going to be really, really interesting. You know, I'm actually really excited to see what this does here. And I chose aerodynamics because Williams have never been a team strong in aerodynamics. It's only this season in real life where we have finally made a balanced car, because it was very low downforce based before, which definitely helped on tracks around like Canada, like Las Vegas, but especially in the ground effect era, it's something we really needed to improve. So I feel like in the game this is going to be very, very interesting to explore, that's for sure. We've got a new contract, obviously. We re-signed with Williams, obviously. And our target is now 90. We really overachieved last season, so I thought, you know what, let's just go with the maximum possible and aim towards a 90 overall. Season objectives, we want us... James Vowles wants us to be somewhere around the middle of the field. And, of course, this is the confirmation of the driver moves as well. So... he wants us to be around the middle of the field. That's pretty reasonable. You know, last season we did really, really well. I think we got... Oh no, that is literally from last season. So we literally got a P5. So smack bang, nearly in the middle, like upper midfield. Literally the best team in the midfield. Literally because of me. But whatever. Let's have a look at the new season grid reveal for Season 2 in F1 24. Well, a largely unchanged grid.
Some issues with our engine in the last
I keep getting this repeated.
More in the vehicle chassis.
Like we had an issue in the finale of last season, and it just keeps repeating it. Shut up, man! I'm absolutely sick of that dialogue. I don't need it. I can tell. Like, literally, just send me an email. Just send me an email. I don't need you to be talking every time. Like, can we turn that off? Surely that's something we could turn off, right? I don't know. It's just really, really annoying. I hate it. But look at all these weekly resources that we are going to be getting. And we could basically just skip through all of them. Because I know Albon could only upgrade aerodynamics. So it's like... I don't really need to be worried about him upgrading stuff that I don't want him to upgrade. Like last season. But yeah, we could definitely... I mean, look at this. He's already got the wing mirrors in development, and we need a little bit more to start developing something else. So let's just get those weekly resources. Hopefully he hasn't spent them. I don't think he has. No, he hasn't. So we are going to get to developing something. So we got a major drag reduction thing there. That's 880. They're both 880. And they're both major upgrades as well. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how things progress from here, that's for sure. But yeah, without further ado, it's time to get into round 1 of season 2 around Albert Park. So Australia returns as the opening round of the season, and obviously we should probably check some R&D as well, see if any teams have made any proper upgrades. Let's actually have a look here. Progress history. It seems as though VCarb are the only ones that have really worked out really well in terms of aerodynamics. So they must have made some proper aero upgrades right towards the end of the season, because they're now the 4th best team on the grid. So yeah, Red Bull, that whole umbrella has been doing absolutely amazing. And yeah, there is no better opportunity for Logan Sargent to actually prove he belongs on the Formula One grid than in that car, because that is a car extremely capable of scoring points. And unfortunately, we have not got the car that I was hoping we'd get, which was a car that could fight for wins. We need a car that can fight for wins. I want to win the championship, but we'll see. Anything can happen. The grid can be still really close. Of course, the R&D only really is showing aerodynamics, to be honest. I guess everywhere else is probably still really, really close as well. And of course, we do have that Mercedes engine to look forward to in terms of the upgrades. So I'm quite curious to see how things are going to progress throughout this season. So without further ado, let's get into qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix. And with those practice sessions finished, we are now looking to purchase our first upgrade of the season. Of course, it's aerodynamics only, and the 2 upgrades available to us are both major upgrades. So we really want to start catching up to the rest of the pack, and this upgrade will arrive not too long after the Chinese Grand Prix.
Welcome everybody, we're here in the heart of Melbourne. It's Albert Park and it's qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix.
So here we are getting ready for our very first qualifying lap of the season. F124 has definitely been a very weird one. Usually most of us YouTubers, most of us players are used to doing a flying lap in qualifying, but F124 has a lot more of an emphasis on tyre wear in this game. So basically it necessitates doing an outlap by yourself, because the AI, you know, basically they're almost pushing all the time. And if you do an outlap by yourself and save on that tyre wear, you're actually getting a bit of an advantage over the AI who are wearing out their tyres just a little bit more. And of course, now that we're in season 2, like I said, we're actually going to start using setups on the car now, instead of just the default setup. So that might give us a little bit of an edge, even though our car is behind in terms of aerodynamics. Having the setup as opposed to a default one definitely is going to give us an edge, and the car feels incredible. I'm not sure about Albon. Albon might not do so well, especially compared to last season. Hopefully he does, but I highly doubt it. I did say we were probably never going to win the Constructors with Williams, but winning a Drivers' Championship is definitely possible. And so with this Q1 lap, that essentially wraps up our qualifying 1 run. As you guys know from the live stream part of the series, Q1 was the easiest part for us, and we're only 3/10 off of Verstappen, to be quite honest. And Q2 is pretty much the same old story. A decent lap, 3/10 up from our previous one, a purple first sector. It's looking really strong for us this qualifying, and to be fair, Australia has always been a bit of a strong track for us. I didn't mention it, of course, but it's where we scored our first points in F123. It's where we got our first win last season in this game. So Australia is definitely a very strong track for us, and I couldn't think of a better way to start off the year than with a strong track. But of course, It all depends on how the race goes, but look at this, provisional P2 so far, and we still have a chance to perhaps top Verstappen as we go for our final Q3 lap. It's already an amazing start, using a little bit more ERS than usual, nearly 2/10 up. That's not a very good section for us. However, we've lost a lot of that time, unfortunately. I didn't notice that while driving, of course. I was just so laser focused, but yeah, just basically throwing the car through these corners. It felt drastically different. I did, I think, my first few laps in FP1 with the default setup, and then I put a setup on. Took some getting used to, but it definitely was quicker, that is for sure. But yeah, we're making some mistakes throughout this final Q3 lap, which is a shame. It's still going to be an improved lap, but yeah, definitely a bit of a shame, even going into the red a little bit there. A very good corner at the very least, but it just makes you think of what could have been had we got the entire lap perfect. Perhaps we may have even got pole position. Hell, we might still get pole position here as we now go down the main straight, but it doesn't look like it. It ain't going to be that far off though, only 4/10. And that's pretty much where it ends. We have a P2 for the first race of the season, but as usual, it is Max Verstappen who is still the man to beat. So yeah, without further ado, let's go to the grid.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. The Melbourne circuit is certainly one that needs to be taken seriously. It's a combination of slippery surfaces and difficult corners, making it a very tricky track when it comes to overtaking. Drivers find it hard to pass and will need to take full advantage of those DRS zones if they want to have any hope of breaking through. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And the rookie completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Norris, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Russell, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Stroll, Ocon, Magnussen, Sargent, Bottas, Hulkenberg, Gasly, Albon, and Zhou Guanyu. And now it's time to head down to the track. So I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about this afternoon, and who's going to talk about it with us? None other than Naomi Schiff. Hi, Naomi. Now, Ant, as much as I like testing, and I do love testing, and I've really enjoyed the build-up here and all the speculation, I really want to see some action. And finally today, we get some proper action on the track.
This is always such an exciting time in the season. First of all, it's the first time they'll be racing their new cars. So that's always an exciting thing for drivers to look forward to. But also, they've had a long time off during the winter break. So it's about dusting the cobwebs off, getting the rust off of their bones, and really getting their elbows out there and having some fun.
Well, it is a shame, and I did say it might happen, but Albon got knocked out in Q1. He is second to last, though, so good thing we're starting to use setups now, but it also does show how close the grid is. I'm pretty sure it is aero only, so it might be like equal performance across the board elsewhere. I ain't too sure, but it looks like it's going to be a standard mediums to hard strategy as we get this underway. We're stuck in a little bit of a Red Bull sandwich here. And honestly, we're picking up right where we left off in Season 1, at least for us anyway. For other members of the grid, it is slightly different. Of course, Lewis Hamilton appears to have downgraded in that Ferrari as Carlos Sainz starts in P5. Hamilton, of course, in the Ferrari P10. Ferrari, one of the weaker teams in terms of aerodynamics, so it's not looking good for them as we now go up to 5 red lights to finally get Season 2 underway. And it is a phenomenal start for Red Bull as Sergio Perez gets past us on the starting line, and unfortunately we have dropped down to P3. And it just shows, I mean, honestly, maybe I didn't think it through. If I wanted to equal the grid a little bit more, Of course, Red Bull are going to be the best in aero. That car was, this specific car, this 2025 Season 2 car, wasn't made by Adrian Newey, but it stems from Adrian Newey's cars, obviously, since it's an evolution. And we should have known, if we do aerodynamics only, that Red Bull would be the strongest, but we are keeping up quite nicely. Again, I don't know about performance elsewhere. It might be back to standard, but when you look in the R&D charts, everyone's like 0, so it might be equal performance. I'm really confused. I'm not sure how that works, and maybe depending on how this goes, maybe halfway through the season we might reset the R&D scenario as we overtake Sergio Perez. Of course, we can switch off the R&D scenario at any point, so we'll give it a chance. But so far so good. Of course, I did say I wanted to go for the championship. It didn't look good at first when we saw the car at when we saw the R&D chart at the beginning of the season, but I don't know, maybe it's the track, maybe we're just that good at Australia, and reality is going to come back to hit us in later tracks, which makes this race even more important as we look to go past Verstappen. But look at that, barely giving us any space, squeezing us up to the wall. We're still trying to fight him. I don't want to use overtake, even though we could, to finish off the move, but Verstappen, he is still there, and look at this, barely giving me any room. We bang tyres. Wow, it's getting a bit frosty up here, and look at that, Max Verstappen, wow, outsmarted us a little bit as well, managed to get the DRS, so we had to use some overtake just to make sure we stay just behind him. And I'm so focused on Verstappen that I didn't notice that Perez was trying to make a move right there. I don't know what he was thinking. There was barely any space, but whatever. As we now progress onto the next lap and look to once again overtake Verstappen with the exact same strategy, but once again Verstappen squeezing us to the high heavens, and he is going to remain out in front with the racing line, of course, as Sergio Perez is now challenging us. That Red Bull, yeah, maybe I made a bit of a mistake. Maybe we should have gone with chassis only or something, but I thought it'd be a little bit interesting. Again, we'll see how things progress, whether or not I switch off the R&D scenario, but I quite like it so far, and honestly, I quite like how the cars feel. It's a big, like I said in the pre-season episode, it's basically the antithesis of what F123 ended up being, as we look to do a dummy there on Verstappen and hit the wall. We're going to have to check vehicle condition for that, and looks like we're okay, but that was a bit scary, and we do need to be a lot more careful, as once again on the next lap we look to make the pass here on Verstappen, and once again he's barely given us any room, and still look at that, just so much fighting going on between us, and this time I am not backing down at all. But wow, very close there, but this time we have the DRS, very reminiscent of the lap 2 going on to 3 showdown. But there you go, moving up into P1 as Perez also overtakes Verstappen. But yeah, as I was trying to say, since it's aerodynamics only, these cars feel absolutely amazing, as a safety car has been deployed. I don't know why, I have no idea what has happened, but there seems to have been a bit of a collision behind us perhaps, but that is awful for Verstappen and excellent news for us, as Verstappen will not be able to get priority pit for Red Bull, as Perez overtook him literally right as the safety car was called. That is absolutely insane, and obviously we are going to pit this lap going on to the hards. Wow, that is just perfect scenario right there. We're not even going to intrude on Albon. I have no idea how he's doing in the race, but look at how much the order is going to change now. Look at this, Magnussen in the Haas is going to get a huge boost up the order, same with Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, but it is Carlos Sainz in P2 for Mercedes, so that is an absolutely perfect debut for the Spaniard right there. And honestly, it just makes Lewis Hamilton's decision look all that worse, because that is Hamilton's car, basically that Sainz is replacing Hamilton. So this could have been Lewis Hamilton going for the win, perhaps maybe definitely getting a podium. Like, it's crazy as we now have to use overtake to get as far away from the guys behind us as possible. This is an amazing opportunity for us, and obviously I'm going to want to capitalize. But yeah, look at Magnussen in the Haas. I know Sonoda is in the points, so VCarb, I mean, they only got like 1 point last season, so they're looking strong already. And that's absolutely incredible for them. And look at this, we move on to lap 11 now as Sergio Perez once again tries to get past us. But obviously we are a little bit in front of him. We can still fight him just a bit. But Perez is going for a similar tactic to Verstappen. He's being a little bit less aggressive, however. But it looks as though Perez might be able to get the pass done. And he does, as he also has DRS. And we don't. And because of that, Carlos Sainz will be making the pass on us as well. But there's not enough space. 2 cars don't go into that corner, and we have managed to keep P2 for now as we set our sights once again on Checo, who has got the opportunity of a lifetime in that Red Bull if he wants to start showing his worth against Verstappen. But of course, he doesn't have DRS, whereas we do. And so we are going to once again reclaim the P1 as we dive down the inside, not giving him that much space, you know, being a lot like Verstappen, to be honest. It's quite nice to have the inside instead of the outside this time. And so we have P1, but we hit the curb here and we go to the grass, into the gravel. We completely lost control of the car there. And that's why I unlisted the patch 1.6 video, because I noticed that on a few other tracks, the curbs actually do unsettle the car now, and that is case and point. But Hamilton is all the way down here. Sonoda, I did say he was in the points, he's there. And we have fallen all the way down to P10. This is a disaster, an absolute disaster for us, and we've somehow now got to regain this. But to be fair, with the setup, we have a pretty good chance of reclaiming some positions, but we're not going to get anywhere near to P1, that is for sure. And that is just such a awful situation for us, and I can't blame anybody but myself, really. I lost focus, I lost concentration, and because of that, we have bottled the lead. We've bottled, you know, the win, and that is a shame. And obviously I'm still a bit flustered here, and obviously again these tires are going off as well, because we've had these hard tires for about 10-11 laps now. But it's no excuse. We should be a lot careful. We should, you know, stay alert even through that, and it's such a shame. But we have enough pace to reclaim some positions as we make the pass on Ocon, and have a mini correction right there to make sure that area of the track doesn't unsettle the car once more. But now the guys in front of us, these are going to be a lot more difficult to catch up to. We've got Lando Norris in the McLaren. However, Kevin Magnussen in the Haas is holding back Fernando Alonso and Max Verstappen, so we do have a pretty good opportunity there. But yeah, what a crazy chain of events this is in terms of the landscape of the championship. It basically means it's all to play for the next couple of races. I have no idea how the season is going to go. I think it might be a me versus Verstappen ordeal, but this is definitely a shake-up as we look to make the move past Lando, as Lando also tries to make the move past Max. And Lando just, wow, he literally turned in on me there. Like, where was the space right there? Absolutely dastardly from Lando there. But we make the pass, a little bit of wing damage, but it is only minor wing damage, so nothing to truly worry about. But we are running out of time now, as Alonso looks to make the pass around Magnussen, and that slows the cars down a little bit as we only have 2 laps to go. This is great for us. If you look in the distance on the mini-map, Mercedes, they are back in the fight for championship contention, as they've got both their drivers in the podium places. That's crazy, as Carlos Sainz is taking the lead. But back to us, of course, and we have finally managed to get past Verstappen around that section this time. I feel like he didn't have enough grip, and we were able to make the pass around the outside. And now we set our sights onto Kevin Magnussen. I don't think we're going to catch Alonso, but yeah, the more things change, the more they stay the same, apparently, as we're seeing a lot of the same people. But Magnussen is one of those people that, what are you doing here, pal? Like, I don't remember ever engaging with Magnussen during Season 1, but, yeah, last lap of the Grand Prix, P5, after a huge mistake like the one we made. You know what? That's not the worst thing in the world. That's a nice little recovery, and we're still in front of Verstappen. I really do feel as though we're going to have a title fight with Verstappen. So still scoring more points than Verstappen is a big deal. But Magnussen still has the lead, of course, and we are running out of ERS, and we are running out of time to make this pass. Verstappen is lurking behind us, but we are practically pushing Magnussen through this section. We are using all the overtake that we have, and it's going to be a dive down the inside. Magnussen caught napping right there. He could have defended that a lot more, but with that little desperate overtake, desperate dive bomb right there, we have secured P5. It's not the worst position in the world. It's certainly a better start than Season 1, but considering how good the car was around this track, we really should have done a lot better there. But P5 is a good recovery nonetheless.
Take care of the car on the way in.
And Carlos Sainz sees the checkered flag and wins.
To take the win at the first race of the season, now that is important. You get straight in to your competitor's head, and they now know that you are the one to beat.
Well, Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
Wow, what a sight I did not think I was going to see in his debut Grand Prix for Mercedes. Carlos Sainz picks up the win, and Lewis Hamilton has got to be seething. He didn't even score points. In that Ferrari, Lewis finished P11, which is insane. Ferrari completely drops the ball on aerodynamics this season, so yeah, Ferrari not having a good time of it at all. And I think we'll definitely shake things up halfway through the season by removing the R&D scenario and just seeing how the landscape of Formula 1 changes within half a season. I really feel like that could be truly, truly interesting. But what a strange scene here with the championship, with Verstappen only scoring 6 points and Mercedes leading in the constructors. Of course, that is subject to change, but we've got Haas in P5, Ferrari all the way down in P9. It is not looking good for them at all, but of course, we'll see what happens over the course of the next few races. Guys, thank you all so much for tuning in and watching this Season 2 premiere. If you guys liked it, be sure to hit that like button as hard as you possibly can. It is going to be a truly interesting season indeed. Will it end with us claiming our first championship? Can anyone stop Max Verstappen? I'm hoping to be that man. Anyway, until next time, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.